All right. All right. So we are live, well, not live, but we're recording, and we are continuing our series of emerging leaders conversations. And so today I have with me Ashten Garrett, class of 2018 out of North Miami, right?
Yes, correct.
North Miami and now in Ohio?
Yes, I was born and raised in Akron, Ohio, so I
Oh,
kind
nice.
of moved back after I finished my studies at Johnson and Wales.
Okay, so but you went from Ohio to Miami.
hmm
Out of curiosity, what made you want to go down to the Miami
So
campus?
the initial reason why I wanted to venture off to the Miami campus was I had a certain desire to work on cruise ships.
Mhm.
And being Miami, the port of Miami, where all the, Carnival or Royal Caribbean, what have you, those cruise ships. And I always wanted to work on a cruise ship, traveling, the networking, working with different cuisines, working with different people, learning about their cuisines. So that was one of the main driving factors. I wanted to move down to Miami and also get, a different environment and a different change of pace as well.
Right. Did you get to at all while you were on? Did you intern anywhere as far as cruise
I
line?
did not on a cruise ship. Actually, after my freshman year of at Johnson and Wales, my mindset and my mentality completely changed from the cruise ship industry. I had a chef that kind of sat me down and we did a list of ideas and things that I wanted to things that I wanted to I guess attend and also accomplish, while I was in school or out of school. So, and the cruise ship didn't make the list, but I ended up, doing a lot of different other things, having the blessed ability to do some other things. So, including like a study abroad, and I was able to work at the James Beard House in New York. So, a lot of different things, really helped pave the way for that.
Where did you go abroad?
I studied in Florence, Italy at the Florence University of Arts, and I did a culinary arts, study abroad internship, if you will, or externship for 3.5 months. And I was single-handedly probably like one of the best culinary experiences I've had so far.
All right. So you did the cruise ship thing didn't pan out, but you were able to do some other stuff
Exactly.
to fill the good. Okay, good. All right. So on that note, so again, class of 2018. Well, why don't you tell us kind of a little bit about yourself and what
Sure.
you do now and
Yeah, so like Keith just said, I graduated in culinary arts and food service management in the class of 2018 from Johnson Wales in North Miami, Florida, summa cum laude. And I'm currently a culinary arts senior supervisor or sous chef at the Mara International in Cleveland, Ohio. So I work in the hotel industry and I've had a lot of fun. I actually started off as a Voyager, which is their manager and training program, and then was promoted to that supervisory manager role. So been around cooking my entire life. Started when I was with an easy bake oven, and actually started with pots and pans in my mother's kitchen. Then went to a easy bake oven and just enjoyed cooking ever since. I kind of veered off in different industries, and cooking always came back to me. So something that I love to do, and I really hope I can express that passion and love with other people as well.
And is it something that you say, well, I find that, things that we typically enjoy doing also kind of come natural to us.
Absolutely.
It's, maybe things that come natural to us, we end up enjoying that much more. Would you say that that's kind of the case as far as
Sure. I think anything you practice at, you're going to, inherently get better at. So with me having that early exposure as a young man, even as a boy, and then my parents would send me to, culinary camps, and my high school had a vocational program for culinary. So I would spend half my day, 5 out of 7 days, cooking and trying different foods and experimenting and just working on foundational stuff, and then just kind of building up from that. So, cooking was a release point for me. A lot of chefs will say that, they have that, it's that feeling of escape where you can just go into the kitchen or go into, for athletes, it's the football field or the basketball court where they can just block everything out. So for me, it's the kitchen.
I think that that's true. They call it culinary arts, and in my opinion, it is, an art form. I know the university is taking, a spin on the science and everything behind culinary in the last few years.
Sure.
It really does seem like an art form, and the artists and musicians and all of those that I've met or, that are friends of mine, it looks like it's a form of expression. And like you say, a form of escape of being able to dive into something, you know, that resonates with you, you know, more than other things. So
Absolutely.
to hear passion from an artist, you know,
Okay.
in whatever
Thank you.
he's
Thank
thinking.
you.
So, so, you know, you've been, you know, with Marriott now for a few years, and, you know, you had obviously a good experience at Johnson and Wales. Was there a, you know, and obviously you've been, you know, around the world a little bit and all that, but was there a particular, you know, experience on campus or during your time as a student that, you know, led to
Sure.
going to
And
that?
actually, Johnson and Wales, especially Miami, they do a tremendous job with not only the educational aspect but also the experimental aspect. Whether it's having events on premise or off premise, the professors are really dialed in, the administrators are really dialed in, and what that does, it cascades down to the students. When we see that our professors and our chefs are engaged in classes, are really hands-on in approach and teaching us and learning us, it makes us want to do more. One of the greatest experiences I've had at Johnson & Wales was probably my freshman year when I volunteered for the Food Network, the Sobe Wine and Food Festival that they have every year down in Miami, Florida, and really just being around with the industry professionals and seeing how detailed they are and how oriented they are, and as well as organized as a young chef. And for Johnson & Wales, like, we would pack up on a bus and just travel up to like a hotel. I think it was a Fontainebleau, I want to say. And, they would have it, and you're cooking with Food Network chefs, James Beard award-winning chefs. And, that does one of two things. It puts in perspective your ability to do that. You're seeing people that, have walked your path before and that you want to follow them. And it also, ignites a certain passion that, as well as courage, that you can do this. It's just a pretty versatile industry. We can go many different ways, but as long as you're willing to put the hard work in and the dedication, which are also two virtues that Johnson & Wales instills in its students, to really make sure that you prevail.
Now, I would say that that's across the board. I'm obviously a Providence grad, and
Sure.
To your point, just kind of going back to the professors and that experience. I'm obviously college of business. I was an accounting major.
Okay.
But I can say I had a similar experience with my professors in that a lot of them were still kind of had one foot in industry and one foot in, education. So
Sure.
a lot of times they would bring in kind of, real experiences from what they were doing for their clients. Right. And then, we would apply that in the classroom. So, you said that you had sat down with one of your professors, mm-hmm. and you made a, kind of a checklist of, things that you would be interested in. And
absolutely.
So was that professor in particular kind of in a mentor role for you?
Absolutely. Actually, this professor, yes, absolutely. Excuse me, I didn't mean to cut you off, but.
Well, I was going to say, were they a mentor, or did you have a mentor?
Yes. One thing that this industry, especially culinary, really does is provide mentorship, because somebody knows somebody who's going to try to connect you. As long as that you're willing to exhibit, passion and hard work, especially as a young chef, they'll do their best to try to connect you. So early on, it was my job to cement a mentoring to mentee relationship, whether it was chefs at school or different chefs that I met, through organizations or affiliations. So this chef in particular, I still keep in contact with him today. He's living abroad right now, but he was an instrumental chef in my life. Really taught me the hard lessons, outside of the classroom, what it's like to actually be a chef, thinking 2 or 3 steps ahead, and not always following the rules. Be willing to take that risk and really venture off. But I guess my closest mentor, if you will, is Chef Stephen Beatty. He's a Food Network award-winning chef. I met him at an organization called the American Culinary Federation, and he's just been by my side in my corner. He's been extremely instrumental in my growth, and one of the reasons why I was able to get on the Food Network was because of his willingness to foster my growth and really help me out. So if he's watching this, or if he does watch this, kudos to you, Chef. Thank you so much.
So tell us a little bit about, you know, any advice or interesting information or kind of a big, light bulb type of moment that you had with that particular mentor.
Sure. Chef Steve, man, he's a jack of all trades. So, he'll really break down some things to you. I remember one of our first meetings over the phone, I should say. We were like a 2-hour conversation. This was actually before my study abroad. And he told me something that always resonated with me. He said, Ashton, the grass, the grass doesn't always have to be greener if you focus on watering. I'm sorry, the grass doesn't have to be greener on the other side if you focus on watering yours. And that really made an indelible impression to me because we always hear the latter,
Yep.
the grass is always greener on the other side.
Yep.
And so when I started to really take in his advice and focus on myself, focus on what I wanted to accomplish, those goals that I had, those tangible goals, writing them down, listing them out, speaking and manifesting them. I saw different things come into my life, whether it was other mentorship or other young chefs, and we're teaming up and accomplishing our projects and goals. So really that resonated with me because you can take that information and advice and apply it to different aspects way out, for the outreach than just your profession. They can tap into your personal life, your career, if you will, spiritual, mental, whatever. So for him to say that to me, especially as a young age, right before I was leaving for one of the biggest culinary experiences up to date, for me. So it was really great advice.
Now, I love that quote. And just to your point about speaking things into existence, claiming it is what my family calls it. You claim
Absolutely.
it, you speak it into existence, or you speak life over it. Or in my case, write it down, and post it somewhere where you can see it or that you can look at it every day and keep, just keep it in mind.
Exactly.
So I love that quote, but I also see that you're a Denzel fan. You have a quote.
Yes.
By too.
Yep. Yeah, that's Denzel. Oh my gosh.
Denzel Washington to class.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. Denzel Washington. A huge supporter, admirer of all his movies. I don't think there's, me personally, I don't think there's, a more paramount actor, especially of color, that has, just achieved so many different things and set the stage for so many other people, he set that bar. And, while people are trying to raise it, attain it in their own right, they're setting the bar for themselves in different instances. So, I really just admire his consistency, determination, passion. And I believe one of my favorite quotes that he said, it was at I watched, his YouTube videos and podcasts and things like that. He said at a graduation ceremony, he said, without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. I believe that's how the quote reads. So again, information that makes an indelible impression on my life, just to keep on going. Because, this is a hard world. It's a changing, world. We have to evolve with it, face adversity head on. And, if you don't have, sort of things within your mentality to build that foundation, not to say that you're going to fail, but, you're going to have a harder time trying to overcome those things. So really just tapping into a video, from one of my favorite actors, and hearing his words and speaking his words into my life has definitely helped me out.
Absolutely. So right now on my table, I have 2 books. One I just finished, Bob Iger's The Ride of a Lifetime.
Wonderful.
Disney CEO. And now I'm reading The 48 Laws of Power.
Okay.
So do you have any particular, books that you've recently read or that you can recommend or that have been inspiring to you, or even just your field or anything?
Currently, I'm reading Notes to a Young Black Chef by Chef Kwame Onwuachi. And I'm also reading Letters to a Young Chef by Chef Daniel Boulud. I've actually read that twice already. I'm kind of just going back in just to, read it, reread it. And I've read a very great book that I love to read. Also, my mentor kind of passed it down to me. Excuse me, one of my mentors passed it down to me. It's by Og Mandino. I believe it's called like The Secrets to Success, or like The Elevation to Success. And that book's been tremendous. And in it, one of the lines that speaks most to me and made an impression on my life was, you'll never reach your truest potential if you focus on secondary activity. Basically going back to that quote that Chef Steve told me, if you don't focus on yourself and your true goals, you're never going to reach your potential. So learning how to, say no to different things and self-disciplining, yourself, especially as a chef, where we get bombarded with distractions and interruptions from a day to day, really just clearing that out, keeping a focused mind and a clear mind on what we want to attain. So those books, I've been able to read, countless others, throughout my journey, and I plan to read more.
Right. And then lastly, so we were obviously tossing around some quotes and advice. And one of the things I think that you mentioned, your experience with your own mentor, or no, when you were talking about Denzel, how he's helped to kind of set the table for a lot of other, men and women in his business and just in general. And I do think that's we're calling this emerging leaders. I do think that is a role that we play for, upcoming graduates from Johnson & Wales and future graduates and students and fellow alumni that are entering, their respective industries or looking at different opportunities. So not just setting the table or giving advice, but, helping to provide opportunities as we can, even just by what we're doing now. Networking and trying to build some relationships with a common thread that we've all, went to the same school, which is kind of to keep in mind. But on that note, do you have any advice, that has either been given to you or that you might have given to someone else that could be useful to fellow graduates or upcoming graduates, anybody?
Sure. Actually, one of the greatest pieces of advice I received from a fellow graduate, someone, I was coming in my freshman year, he graduated, heading into my sophomore year. He said, Ashten, really extremely simple. I'm thinking he's going to say something more elaborate, but he said, if it's hard, do it hard. And that also made an impression on me, because I'm thinking like, man, what does that mean? And when I got through the coursework and, understanding different things, throughout that journey, I understood that, where it's like, don't cut any corners. There's going to be times where, you're not going to feel your best, when you wake up and you don't want to go to class, or you don't want to go to work, or you don't want to finish that project. So he said, if it's hard, do it hard. The result that you'll be able to receive from that will far outweigh anything than you going through the easy process. Easy comes, easy goes. So, for him to say that, me heading into my sophomore year, which was, like kind of my more difficult year, really set the stage for that. But also to fellow alumni, really just chase your dreams. I know that's hard, easier said than done, but if you don't go after yours, and you potentially might spend a lifetime living for somebody else's. Seek great mentorship, follow, the path, study the greats to become greater, really just follow your dreams. Again, it may not represent itself right away, but the reward will definitely come into fruition. And just, support those who have always supported you. And I guess my best piece of advice, more of a comedy relief, is never go to the grocery store hungry. You'll have a lot of problems if you do. So yeah,
I'm guilty of that.
Oh, okay.
That, and I end up in the prepared foods aisle right after they put all the prepared foods out, and end up from the buffet as opposed to getting the stuff that I was supposed to cook that night and all that. But that is great advice.
Yes, yeah.
So
yeah, I've had a lot of tough experiences early on. Going to the grocery store and just eating something I know I shouldn't have. So but yeah, you live and you learn.
Absolutely. When you know better, you do better. And
exactly.
About following your dreams, I would echo that and add to it. Who was it? Henry David Thoreau said, to go confidently in the direction of your dreams. So don't just follow them, but go confidently in the direction.
Wonderful.
So awesome. Ashton, thank you so much.
Marquise, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.